Hi, welcome everybody. Got the wrong camera on. Glad you're with us here today. We have a lot going on today. I'm going to move kind of quick because we do have quite a few things to cover. So let me bring this back up real quick. We've got a lot of changes that are going to go on here with the VirtualLight Broadcast, and we've just quantified quite a few of them. So let me bring you in a little closer here so we don't have to talk so loud. How's that? Okay, the VirtualLight Broadcast has been going on for almost 25 years now. It's been very amazing. We've been very pleased with being able to do this and reach light workers. What we're going to be doing now is kind of bringing it down and really tightening it up. My goal is to bring this to an hour or under. And we started out with 3 hours and many times went 3.5 hours. We just love doing the broadcast and the work with that, but we're going to start changing a few things. Let me explain how this is going to work, because we're going to start right away. We're going to start actually today. What we've asked is asked our presenters to bring down their segments. I have done 2 channels here every month that we're doing. I'm going to bring that to 1 here in the VirtualLight Broadcast. And then on top of that, we're going to bring it down. I believe that Allison has decided she's going to do 1 more in December to kind of close out the year, and then she's going to take a break. She needs to take a break because she just wrote a book. It's getting ready to come out. She needs to travel and do quite a bit of promotional work on the book that she's written. So we'll be happy to show you the book as soon as she gets it and bring that to you. But we're probably going to lose Allison for a while at least with the astrology reports. Meg will still be with us, at least for the time being. We're always trying to reevaluate things and bring you the highest. Next month when we come together, I hope to have a little survey for you so we can find out what's important for you, what you normally like to see and what you don't like to see. Because this is really about the group being able to present information for you. Now, since we're cutting it down, we're not going to stop. 2 weeks later, roughly in the middle of the month, because the VirtualLight Broadcast is usually on the last Saturday of the month, although sometimes it moves around for holidays, travel schedule, things of that nature. So basically in 2 weeks later, we're going to do a GlobalLight. The GlobalLights have been reserved for simply bringing people together for problem areas that we have on planet Earth. We have so many now, we need this all the time. And we're going to start doing it every single month. So the second channel that I normally do here in the VirtualLight Broadcast will be done over there. Those will be focused. We're going to focus those on whatever situation the group wants us to focus on. We have a lot of work to do, but when we hold hands, we can create miracles. And that's what we're going to be doing with the new GlobalLight that we're working with. The first one will be on December 3rd. So I will tell you that's coming up, and we're very much looking forward to getting back into the routine. I will bring your attention once again to the front page of aspabo.org. We list everything that's going on. Looks like I have a couple that snuck past me that I haven't changed yet, but the idea is that we're moving very quickly through the month and through the energy. So we want to make sure that you're aware of all the things that are available and you can click right on them. The big one that we're working with right now is Lightmaster. Lightmaster is actually forming a new energy. We're going to start the whole new series in January of next year. That is a 2400 series. Now, many of you that are Lightmasters have already been aware that we're calling it the 2400 series already. We used to start this in September. Then we moved it to October. We're moving it to January. It's just easier to work with all the way around and less problematic. We've also found some ways to work with it and make it easier. So I will run a little commercial for that because we do need to promote our material and the things that support this website and this organization. I will run a little ad for that a little later on, just before the channel. I will do the channel at the very end today. So I'm very much looking forward to it. The group wants to talk about quite a few things. I'm not quite sure exactly where they're going to go, but they have an announcement to make. And I'm not going to make it. I'm going to let them make the announcement. They have some very specific things that they want to work with and to be able to bring us. So I welcome you today. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you. As we hold hands together, we do create miracles, and that's what we're here today to work with. We had a lot of things going on in the news. We don't need to cover them all. We've been working very hard on sending energy to the Israeli-Palestine problem. Actually, we should call that Israeli-Palestine-Hamas problem because they're all different players in different areas. What the group has said about it is absolutely coming true. We did this in the last GlobalLight that were there. They'll talk about it again, I'm sure, on December 3rd. But we hope to start a wave of peace on December 3rd. So there's different ways that we can work with this, but we're going to have a live broadcast here at 11 o'clock. December 3rd is a Sunday, by the way. We're not going to have staff. We're not going to ask our staff to work on Sunday to monitor everything. So if we do have a problem, just be patient. We'll fix it real quick and get it going. But it's been a powerful opportunity for us, and we'll probably continue the GlobalLight every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, you will have a new free event. And we hope to keep it down fairly short because we know that that's one thing that we've heard from a lot of you. Is that really this 3.5 hours is way too long. So 90 minutes was almost too long. So we're trying to bring it down. We'll bring it down to 50 to 60 minutes most of the time. We may run over a little bit from time to time, but we know we're in a new energy and we know that things have changed as far as the way that you like to view things. So we have heard that. We will come back and get a little bit more with that. On top of that, on a personal note, yesterday was Barbara's birthday. And I just have to tell you, we always see signs. Barbara is still around. She makes herself known at the most convenient times. We had a seminar in Breda, Netherlands recently. Very powerful stuff, incredible. We really enjoyed it, and we really had a wonderful time there. And Barbara was there. She made herself known many different times throughout the days and so forth. Our host actually made Kleenex boxes with her picture all over it because she was known as the Kleenex lady. So she was definitely there. Yesterday on her birthday, Elke usually looks for rainbows because that's the way she talks with Elke. If Elke has a question or something she wants to know about, she asks Barbara. Barbara shows up with a rainbow. No rainbows yesterday. She was very concerned about it. And then somebody sent her a picture of a rainbow in an email. And then this morning, her sister sent this picture of this huge rainbow that you could actually see both ends of it. And she walked outside and saw a real rainbow. So Barbara's there. She just couldn't get her attention yesterday, I guess. But yesterday was her birthday. And we actually have several people. We actually had a seminar in Hawaii on 05/05/05 that literally, we found out there were 7 people in that seminar, fairly small seminar, about 70 people. And in that seminar, we had 7 different people that had the birthday on the same day. So if that's your birthday on the 24th of November, welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Barbara is definitely with us, so thank you for all of that. We're going to get right into it. I've got Allison's report coming up right away. We've got Meg's report. Then we'll come back and do the channel from the group. Welcome to the VirtualLight Broadcast, everyone. This is the VirtualLight Broadcast for December 2023. Aspavo, thank you for taking your power.
Well, hi everybody, and welcome to the astrology part of the show. My name is Allison Chester-Lambert. So, I think this may be the last recording video that I do for the VirtualLight Broadcast for a while anyway. I do have some exciting news. I will be doing stuff. I've got a new book coming out next year called The Easy Way to Learn Astrology. And so what I've devised is an easy way, I think an easy way to learn astrology. And I've put it all into a book. And I will be accompanying the release of that book with YouTube videos and various other promotional stuff. And so I've got a real focus going on next year for certainly the first 6 months. So there's going to be a lot of change. I want to get into TikTok, for instance, and a few other things. And I know Steve's got changes coming up in the VirtualLight Broadcast as well. And it seems that, you know, the end of a year is the time to make those changes. So I have always been thrilled to do this work with Steve, and I'm sure we'll work together again. We have, to my knowledge, I've been doing stuff for his show since 2015. So, you know, we've had a, a fair old crack at it. And during that time, we've had some considerable successes. I remember I was the first one to talk about the new spiritual androgyny coming, and that was way back then. And now we see so much of the pre-millennials ditching all of the previous barriers and rigid preconceptions about gender choice, etc. And we also see in deity, or in the divine, a blurring of rigid sexual identity, and I think that's much truer to the nature of the divine. And various other things have come up over the years, and I've always been thrilled to bring them here first. However, I hope you're all going to buy this book. It's being published by Inner Traditions, and they've actually got the thing up on their website at the moment that you can pre-order if you want to. So if you live in the States, you should certainly do that. If not, if you live in the UK, because you're better off buying it over here. But certainly if you're in the States, then why not? I think you then get it earlier than anybody else. But anyway, so just look for me as the author on Inner Traditions website, Allison Chester Lambert, and you'll see the books that I have already got with them, and this one coming up. And I want all of you to learn astrology in the way that I know it. And that's what I'm doing this for. I think it should be taught in schools. I think it gives so much understanding and meaning, and really helps people with their lives and their problems and their issues. So I want to make sure that this is something that I pioneer. Anyway, going back to astrology, more current, I'm tempted at this moment to look at the year that has gone past and the year that is coming. I have myself felt a great weight of the feminine, and I have said right from the beginning of the year that this is the rise of the feminine. And the planets, the feminine planets, show this. And it's a rebalancing time, because after all, we've had the patriarchy in its height for 2,000 years or so. So it is time for this to be rebalanced. The feminine is probably not what people think it is. It's not a Barbie doll, and it's not sweet and pretty. And the feminine actually is quite primordial and dark. And it's about death, and it's about life and death and rebirth. It is also about the keeping of things inside. It's about withdrawing. It's about contemplating. It's about thinking about things, digesting them, going over them. And to do this, it is quite a quiet energy, and it isn't in your face. It's solitary and calm, and it is most felt in our totally quiet moments. The masculine is always rushing around, and if you think of solar energy bursting out there, but think of gravity pulling in. The feminine is the gravity that is pulling into the center. The masculine is the solar radiation that's pushing outwards. So the masculine moves in straight lines and the feminine moves in curves. Anyway, so we are in a burgeoning energy of feminine. We've just got to look at the position of the planets in feminine zodiac signs. So we've got 2 planets. Well, these are all the main outer planets. So we've got 2 of them. So Jupiter and Uranus are in Taurus. And we've got Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. They're in 2s. And we've got Pluto currently wavering around between Capricorn and Aquarius. Pluto has currently stepped back into Capricorn. Pluto is a feminine planet, and I want to make this really clear. It probably is the one that most typifies and depicts the feminine, actually. So the name Pluto should be more Shiva, the female goddess of Hindu religion. Anyway, so Pluto steps back into Aquarius, or forward into Aquarius, again on the 21st of January in the new year. And actually, if you live on the west coast of the States, it actually does so as it conjoins the sun and sets. So from the west coast, if you can see over the sea to the sun setting, at that moment, Pluto and the sun will be together setting. Fabulous time if you're over on the west coast. That's time for a celebration. It is true that Pluto once again sets foot into Aquarius, gets scared, and steps out again briefly later on in the year. But with each move that goes back in, we are stirring up the Aquarian zodiac sign, and the Aquarian zodiac sign is masculine. And so we are putting a great feminine planet into a masculine energy in our cosmos. And this feminine planet is going to be creating a huge change in this masculine energy. The changes we shall see straight off, we are seeing, and that is the introduction of artificial intelligence, a greater reliance on electronic tech, anything to do with communication, but in new ways, that kind of stuff. It is the rising of the feminine, but it's also the age of Aquarius, because when Pluto moves into a zodiac sign, it changes everything. It terraforms that zodiac sign. So the age of Aquarius is when it gets terraformed and moves into a new expression of itself for the coming centuries and millennia. Anyway, so yeah, there's going to be loads about that, because I have got to up my my media front at the moment, as I have been very lapsed in it recently, but because I've been writing this book. But anyway, so for the new year, we can expect really more of this very sultry, damp, if you like, almost pregnant, expecting atmosphere, where there isn't any rush and haste and joy and fast moving. There is reflection, contemplation, thoughtfulness, and quiet. And I think those are the things that will hit us most in the coming year as we move with the changes, as we get more engaged with the rise of the feminine. It's been fantastic to talk to you. I've really enjoyed my time here, and I want to say, please keep in touch. You know where I am. I'm going to go before I start coughing again. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Allison. Awesome. And of course, that fits in to what the group said last month. They talked about a timeline cross. Actually, it's a couple of months ago. They talked about a timeline cross, which is happening on December 17th. There's going to be crossing with another planet that is female, basically female dominated instead of male dominated. So hopefully we can balance some of our energy. What an incredible opportunity. And that's one of the things that's coming up with this timeline cross. We'll talk about it again as we come forward a little bit, but on the 17th, we'll be doing it. We'll talk a little bit on December 3rd when we do the next Global Light. And now we've got Meg. Meg, how you doing? Glad you're with us here.
That give you the feeling of satisfaction and well-being.
Well, that didn't work. Let me start it from the beginning. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be back with you again this month. Let's dive right in. The subject that I want to discuss this month is our addiction to grievance. When we look around right now at human behavior, we're seeing so much evidence of our new addiction. And I've been reading the work of Dr. James Kimmel Jr., whose argument is, if grievance is a form of addiction, then your brain on grievance looks a lot like your brain on drugs. Kimmel is a lawyer and lecturer in psychiatry at Yale University of Medicine who believes the science of addiction can be used to understand grievances, retaliation, and violent crime. Scientists have found that in substance addiction, environmental cues such as being in a place where drugs are taken or meeting another person who takes drugs causes sharp surges of dopamine in crucial reward and habit regions of the brain, specifically the nucleus accumbens, which is the neural interface between motivation and action. This triggers cravings in anticipation of experiencing pleasure and relief through intoxication. Recent studies show that similarly, cues such as experiencing or being reminded of a perceived wrong or injustice, a grievance, activate these same reward and habit regions of the brain, triggering cravings in anticipation of experiencing pleasure and relief through retaliation. To be clear, the retaliation doesn't need to be physically violent. An unkind word or tweet can also be very gratifying. What Kimmel is pointing out here is different from just a one-time grievance or even a grievance revisited. This is key and really important to how our brain works, how our subconscious mind stores all of our memories, and why this matters. The underlying momentum shaping a grievance into an addiction is when a grievance is pushed into reanimation through the emotional triggers and experiential anchors that first created the trauma or grievance. In other words, you're witnessing the world and it triggers a memory of a circumstance that you experienced when you were younger that caused emotional pain. Now we've picked up that old experience, we've picked up that old version of us, as I like to call it, our old identity, and now we are going to respond from that place. Now, the anticipation and the connection to the addiction of this behavior is we create coping mechanisms, we create patterns of habit. This wires our brain and trains our nervous system. So if we at any point responded and felt relief in our nervous system, we are then training ourselves to have this behavior. So what happens is the circumstance may have nothing to do with you, but the way that you are responding in expectation of that relief or even that pleasure is because it's very personal to you, because you've picked up the old emotionalized trauma and are responding from that space of though it's happening to you. Is this starting to connect the dots why it's becoming mass? It's becoming a large amount of our community, hence the addiction across many platforms to grievance. But what I want to suggest here for consideration is that studies also show that being kind boosts serotonin and dopamine. We get that same dopamine hit, these are neurotransmitters in our brain that give you the feeling of satisfaction and well-being and cause the pleasure reward centers in your brain to light up too. Endorphins, which are your body's natural painkiller, also are released. So there is that relief. There is that pleasure or satisfaction. But why do you think we're becoming addicted to grievance? And everybody is weighing in on it. That's a question. It's worth pondering and considering because we don't experience kindness as the normal. Not from our news, not from our perspective of the world. We are not bombarded with things that make us feel hopeful, that uplift us, good news, people doing good things, unity consciousness, people coming together, love, healing, hope. We are not flooded with that from all of the outside sources. or we would have an addiction to kindness versus grievance. How interesting would that be? We are so conditioned in our society globally to only look for and focus upon what's wrong. And all of our childhood trauma gets picked up. And when we can respond with our grievance to our colleague, our boss, our lover, our friend, our sibling, we get that dopamine hit. But what comes later from that is separation, isolation, anger, frustration. If we conditioned our brains to be kind, what do you think might happen? We could receive that dopamine hit. We could create new neural pathways, looking for more ways, more evidence of the validation. This is how our brain works. The subconscious mind does not judge. It only takes what is impressed upon it and carries it out. So what is being flooded into your awareness every day really matters. Over and over and over again, that's conditioning. At some point, we just have the same response. We're picking up different childhood trauma, responding to it. And in that moment, there's an anticipation of what we will receive in return. Now that can branch out into two ways. Kimmel's work suggests that there will be a form of satisfaction in that retaliation, if that's just a verbal response, if that's engaging in social media. And social media has made it easy for everybody to weigh in. But have you noticed that if somebody in your circle that you're following on social media posts something they're really proud of, posts something they've achieved or they've accomplished, posts something about how this milestone and they made it, inevitably there will be all sorts of other people, bots, so artificial intelligence, as well as humans, who will weigh in to take them down. Did you consider in your happiness that people are starving over here? Did you consider in your win that people over here are struggling? Inevitably. And it derails us a lot. But we can recondition our minds to look for the positive. We can learn to celebrate one another because somebody else's success does not equate to our failure. It is not personal. When we can cheer each other on, there is also a dopamine hit in that. If we can recondition our brains to look at the good in the world and to look for more good in the world, your brain is going to continue because that becomes important to you and it filters out everything that isn't important to you. So we, in essence, flood the subconscious mind with all the positive beliefs. And then when somebody has a win, we look at that as hopeful. If you can, then I can. Oh, well, that becomes a completely different set of neural pathways, looking for the positive, getting the dopamine hit, feeling hopeful, feeling satisfied. And now we collectively become addicted to happiness and to hope. I thought that was a conversation really worthy of bringing to discussion, bringing to the table. Because when you understand how the mechanism of our mind works, what you say yes to, what you are in agreement with, what you have a high emotional response to, your subconscious mind takes a snapshot of it. That becomes a memory. How the millions of memories stored in our subconscious mind are prioritized are by the ones that are designed to keep us safe. So we can have highly emotionalized negative dominant programming, which is the majority of people on the planet, unless you've dealt with it. If you haven't dealt with it, your mind is trying to keep you away from those situations and circumstances that caused you emotional pain. And so we will avoid, we will sabotage, we will take others down. We will not get near that pain again because our mind is always trying to look for the familiar and move us towards pleasure and away from pain. But what if we started flooding the subconscious mind with all of the positive thoughts and beliefs? What if we started looking at all of the wins? What if we started looking at how we are not the same versions that we used to be 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago? Well, now we're starting to have a different conversation with our mind. We're starting to focus on what works versus what's broken, what we can do that make things better, not worse, not out of fear, but out of that knowingness that intrinsically people are good. Intrinsically, when you're out and you're in a store and you have a smile on your face, there is inevitably going to be someone who's going to smile back. There's going to be someone who's going to see that you're warm and open for a chat. We decide what everything means, but we have to understand that we have patterns of habit. We have conditioning in our nervous system. And so most people are conditioned to be in a stress response 95% of their day. We shift into parasympathetic when we go to sleep at night, when we have a meditation practice or a hypnosis practice, a hypnotherapy practice. We go into deep prayer. Those are all the same brain waves. Those are alpha state waves. But if we're not doing that and we are working and we're going to the next thing and the next task and our downtime is watching TV or maybe reading books, we have to really look at what we're flooding upon our mind. And then that over time trains us to respond accordingly. But you can change. We can just as easily, the mechanism works the same. We can just as easily flood the subconscious mind with positive, look for the evidence of that, start to see and live the evidence of that, feel that dopamine hit, feel that satisfaction, feel that hope and friendliness and happiness and the universe is friendly belief. And we can be living a completely different life experience. So as we go into the holidays, I thought that was worth considering. I'll be back next month to continue the conversation. Until then, be well, contemplate, consider. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a wonderful rest of your month, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks, Meg. Awesome. It's really interesting to me because the group has talked about our addictions. Obviously, I'm a very addictive personality myself. And they've talked quite a bit about it. And they said exactly what you said, basically, switch addictions. And that's what we can do. We can actually choose to be addicted to the good things instead of the negative ones. And as we come in, we're wired that way. Children are wired that way. They have to learn to be selfish. They have to learn to isolate. They have to learn to be negative or have the fear emotions. And we teach them pretty well. So anyway, thanks, Meg, and thanks so much for all your work here. She's done an incredible job of bringing us these beautiful jewels and our crystals on our path for quite a few years here. And yes, Allison's been with us for 8 years. Absolutely magical. And we just wish her the very best as she starts to move on into higher work and some of the energies around it. Okay, you're going to hear from my sponsor in just a minute, and then I'll be right back with a channel from the group, Espavo. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Rother. I'm the channel for the group here at Espavo. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Lightmaster course, if you're not familiar with it. Lightmaster 2400 is just beginning. We've been doing Lightmaster now for almost 14 years. It's been an incredible opportunity for all of us. We've really enjoyed it and moved through a lot of material. But Lightmaster is beginning now. This is the highest level that we have here at Espavo. Let me explain how it works. In previous years, we've always had where you could sign up for 3 months, 6 months, or a year and get different prices for signing up for the longer amount. We've kind of gone away from all of that. Now we've set up a perpetual membership where you join, come back every single month, and it continually renews until you tell it to stop. You can stop anytime you wish, and that allows us to give you the best price, no matter how long you're in it, and the largest control over your own environment that we can give you here. Now, what about the material in Lightmaster? Well, it varies greatly. The whole idea of Lightmaster is the group wants to work with light workers globally. There's a lot of things going on our planet that need our grounding. They need the highest potential that we can be, and that's what the group does in Lightmaster. They try to give you as many tools as you can to not only improve your professional life, but also your personal life and your ability to carry the light. When you become the highest vibration that you can be on this planet, you become the highest use to the universe that you can be. And that is the group's intent. Keep in mind, the group says that many of you here in Lightmaster, most of you here in Lightmaster, have actually traveled back 300 years to be here at this exact moment. That's why they want to work with us. They want to bring that forward. So starting in January, we're going into a whole different energy. I'll tell you how it works. 4 Fridays every month. So the first 2 Fridays, we're going to be just the Light Masters, where the group gives the Light Masters specific things that will help, tools of working with light, tools with working with you, and rejuvenation for you to actually not only try to rejuvenate your physical body, but to reset your spirit, to give you the energies that you need from month to month, from week to week. The last 2 Fridays of each month are what we call the focus channels. In other words, they have a topic, and we sell those. We actually bring other people into those that can come in separately and just kind of try on the material. And at the same time, they're yours for free. They're a part of the Light Master Travels. So we have 4 Fridays a month that we'll be working. There are occasional months with 5 Fridays. We're actually going to take a day off, believe it or not, and work with that in that area. We also have specific questions. You have a special, unique email address that you'll be able to send as Light Master. You'll be able to send questions directly to me in the group. When we get enough of them, which is usually about once a month, we'll have a special question and answer Light Master Day just for Light Masters. We also have special gatherings sometimes when we come to town. Anytime we're doing an in-person seminar, we always want to address how many Light Masters in the room and tell people they can always check with you for how things work and any other aspect of it. So you kind of help us in many different ways. We take the highest level of people that we can move into Light Master and bring you along. At the end of a year of Light Master, you become ordained as a Light Master, as what the group calls a Master of the Light. It is actually a legal ordination in the United States and elsewhere throughout the world, but mostly in the United States, where you can actually marry people, you can go into prisons, you can do a lot of different things with this ordination because you are actually a minister of light worker, which is actually listed as a spiritual organization here with the IRS. So come join us. Come try out Light Master. Come try for a month. We're going to have some free material that you can see what it's like so you can kind of test it out. But at the same time, jump in with both feet. Come play with us. We have a lot going on and a lot of energy that's moving very quickly. We'd like to give you the tools to not only keep up with it, but to get ahead of the game. Aspav, everybody. Thank you for taking your power. Thanks so much. It's almost like I'm on the holodeck, right? You know, so I can, my shirt changes, you know, it's a recording. Welcome. I do want to tell you one other thing about Light Master. We have decided to arrange it a little bit differently. What you just heard about Light Master is absolutely correct, but it's going to take me a little bit to do this, but we're going to start setting up a 3-month course where you can try on Light Master for 3 months. That Light Master 3-month part will be separate from our normal Light Masters, and it will bring you up to date on all the things that we're talking about in Light Master, so we don't have to repeat it in the Light Master group. We will have a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 9-month course available pre-Light Master. Or you can just jump in, because a lot of people have taken Light Master, they've taken a vacation from it, or they've gone to another teacher and they want to come back. So you can just jump in. It's entirely up to you. But it's going to take me a little bit to set that up, probably 2 or 3 months to finally do it. But we're actually going to do those live as well, and you can actually sign up for the Introduction to Light Master, which will be a 3-month course, coming up fairly soon. So I'm honored to be here with you and honored to do this. With that, let's bring in the group, shall we? Ospavo. Greetings, dear ones. Greetings from home. We join you with such a joy this day. We have some changes in the way we're going to be presenting, but let us speak a little bit about you, because so much is taking place on your planet. So many things are happening that sometimes it's very difficult to make sense of what you are experiencing. Now, what we're going to tell you to do is to step back, take a larger look. And you can program yourself. You can develop new habits, as was recently spoken. Those new habits simply take 21 days to generally work their way into your bodysuit and to be a normal reaction after that. And what can you do during that time? Well, there's a lot you can do. The first thing you can do is when you catch yourself in a negative thought or in a negative thought pattern, to consciously change it. It's your natural reaction at this point in life to look at people and see people and watch for people that are like you. It's one of your basic bodysuit biases, is to understand and to trust people that actually look like you in some ways. But what if you were able to find the ways that you are alike instead of the ways you are different? That is a habit that can be developed. And it's a perfect time to start working with that energy. So we'll pass that on to you as one of the tools of the higher vibrations of the new planet Earth in the fifth dimension. Another tool, of course, is your triad. We asked you some months ago to work with a triad, to find two other people and make a triad, or 4 other people, and basically connect with them energetically. Sometimes you'll be able to connect with them physically. You'll be able to talk with them. You'll be able to email them, things of that nature. And other times you won't. Other times you may choose someone to be in your triad that has not chosen you to be in theirs. So maybe that's not available. It doesn't really make a lot of difference. What we'd like you to do here with your triad over the next several months is to connect with them energetically and to reach out, to hold those hands, to amplify your energetics as you step into the world and as you move through the illusion of time-space on planet Earth. It makes it much easier to lean out and to have that support in different ways. So we ask you, if you haven't found a triad, this is a great time to basically create your triad of support. The triad is a very profound way of doing things because almost everything on your side of the veil is divisible by 3. We'll tell you more about that another time. But there's things going on that we wish to talk about specifically, for you will see some changes in the way that we present to you. Back 25 years ago, when the Keeper first started channeling, as he calls it, we came to him. He was in a group of people chatting online, talking in a chat room, so to speak, and was communicating with other people that were learning to channel. And he himself asked to start receiving that material. And he would sit with that energy on his keyboard, waiting for that material to come through. Sometimes he waited a very long time, but that's all right. We were there. It just took him a while to adjust to us. And then the information started coming in. And he asked some very specific questions, which he wanted to know. Because in this chat room, people had told him, they said, you have to be careful when you open up the channel because you can bring in the bad guys. Interesting. So he asked questions. He wanted to know basically our name, rank, and serial number. He wanted to know who we were, how many of us there were. He was aware we were a group of entities. But he wanted to know much more about that. And with that, a fascinating thing took place because he was able to ask us who we were. And we said, we'd rather not speak of that. We want you to take this energy for the power of the energy and the word that are with it, not because of some label placed upon it. And he went into fear and basically cut off the channel at that point. He walked around for several days with this horrible smile on his face. He was so frustrated because all of his friends were starting to channel, and they were channeling Viwamas of the 23rd century and all these different attributes, and they all had different levels of vibration that they were able to quantify, and he had nothing. So he cut it off, thinking that he was in connection with the bad guys. And then a few days later, he came back and said, knock, knock, are you still there? And we said, we have been with you for many lifetimes, dear one, and we would never leave you. We're always here if you choose to listen. And at that point, he said, if you won't tell us what your names are and who you are, tell me why you won't tell me those questions. And we came back with a simple phrase to simply say that we want you to take this information for the love content of the information, and not because of labels that are placed upon it. And we know that is difficult because people love the labels. They love the connections. They love knowing where things are specifically. And this requires a bit of trust, a bit of faith to be able to receive these messages. Finally, he agreed and said, okay, I don't have anything to call you, so I will simply do it. But he knew we were multiples. He'd asked how many we were, and we told him there were 9. And 9 entities channeling together as one. Actually, he was the 9th entity. So there's 8 of us and 1 of him. And those were the 9 that he had called the group. And basically, he started channeling and putting out this information, and someone came back to him and said, how many, tell us who you are and what they are. And he had to say, well, they don't want to tell me who they are because they want us to take the information and not give our power away to labels. And they said, but we know there's a group of them, and we know there's 9, including me. And people would say, oh, the group. And they'd write back and say, well, what does your group say about this? And that is where the words, the group, came from. Some years later, probably about 7 or 8 years ago now, we started giving him some personalities because he started specifically asking for that. And we started branching out and letting him know who was in the group. All little different specialties. You have the Keeper of Time. You have M. You have Ilra, who makes you smile with his rhythms. You have Merlia, who is the female aspect of Merlin. And you have the Scientist of the Heart, who brings in the science around it, how it blends together. So with these different attributes, it was able to focus a little bit deeper in some of these areas. And yet, dear ones, now the earth has changed. There is a grand need for unification. And we're going to take this opportunity to release all the individual parts and for us on this side of the veil to join hands again. Now, we've always been a part of each other, and we always speak through the other. So it's a wide variety of information that can come through. But now we're going to approach you simply as the group. And we will tell you that we rarely use that name to identify ourselves, but it's a name that humans understand. So the group will bring you these messages as a collective going forward. The main reason for this is that there is so much isolation on your planet. Yes, some of it is being propagated intentionally, a lot of it is, and there are things that are taking place to manipulate you, to go in different ways, and to take your power from you. That can only happen if you're not holding hands. That can only happen if you are isolated. Along with technology and some of your social medias that have moved very, very quickly into the framework, and also have no responsibility for what is put on their platforms, a lot of isolation has taken place. And we do not wish to contribute to that isolation in any way. So we are coming back together to bring you these messages of love. And that is the aspect that we wish you to focus on. How much love can you actually carry? We also mentioned that there will be a timeline cross. Eris is moving in your direction very quickly. The timeline crosses are simple for those of you who don't understand it. It's simply that you have linear time that you experience. That is the illusion of time that you do. But you also have a future, a present, and a past. And that leaves a line, an illusion of a linear aspect in all that is. Occasionally, those lines cross. When they do, they make huge differences in both attributes. Both lines and times change overnight. The funny part about it is it seems so natural, very few people actually notice that it's happening. We've brought this to your attention on several occasions. One is coming up. That is a rather long one. Sometimes timelines can cross at a 90-degree angle. Sometimes they cross at a 3-degree angle. When they cross at a smaller angle of that nature, they're actually overlapping each other for longer periods of time. That is what is happening with this one. It will begin, basically, on the 17th of December of this year and stretch mostly through February, at least the 26th of February in 2024. Now, what is that and what can you do? Well, this is an interesting part because Eris itself is incredibly out of balance. The planet herself is having difficulty very similar to Earth, and they have people who are in charge. But it is female driven, where yours has been mostly dominated by male energy. Now, this is the Earth herself that has arranged this cross because she will benefit much from it in other ways. But the way humanity can absolutely benefit from this is to anchor the feminine energy in your daily lives, to bring it through, to celebrate it, to encourage it, to work with it and anchor that light in any way you can. It's a huge opportunity, dear ones, and we ask you to come back together in any way you can. Does it mean when you're holding hands in the light that everyone must agree, or everyone must have the same politics, or everyone has to have the same understanding of truth? No. Find the ways you are alike rather than focusing on the ways you are separate, and you will change this world very quickly. You're at a tilting point, and yes, it can go both directions, and yes, we tell you that 2024 may be a little difficult. How does it work after that? Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot up in the air. We cannot predict further than that because it's up to you. It's not up to us. We are observers watching the overview and trying to share with you a little bit of what is coming and how you can anchor that energy. We do not ask you to give your power to us, please. We want you to hold your power and use it yourself. There are many belief systems on planet Earth. The challenge we mentioned with belief systems are simply that it's a system. If you believe one aspect of it, then you are required to believe other aspects that sometimes take you beyond the understanding that you naturally have. So keep in mind, we call belief systems BS. And we are not trying to create a new belief system for you to follow. What we are here to do is to help you awaken from the dream, understand that you are the greatest angels that have ever lived, and to take and hold your power individually and also as a collective. These are great times on planet Earth, dear ones. Your space has been reserved to be here at exactly this moment. Celebrate it. Enjoy the journey. Will there be fear? Of course there will. You're on a planet that was based in duality for a long time. Of course there will, but keep in mind, fear is only the lack of love. Work with that, and you'll change not only your life, but you'll change the world. That's why you're here. Enjoy the journey, dear ones, and understand that we ask you only 3 things: to treat each other with the greatest respect, nurture one another at every opportunity, and play well together. We are the group. Aspavo, dear ones. Aspavo.